Cello sizes. What size cello do I need? When is it time to move up to a different size cello? Well, complicated is an understatement, but that's why you are here and why I want to help you. Trust me, you will be glad you stuck around. You see, you can't really understand what size cello you need until you have a firm grasp on how to sit properly at the cello, and really important to sitting properly at the cello is having the right kind of chair. It is impossible, in fact, to discuss one of these without the others. It is a very serious catch-22. You have to have the correct cello size to get the cello into the correct playing position, and you can't get into the correct playing position unless you have the correct cello size. Additionally, if you do have the correct size cello and know exactly how to find and sit with the correct cello posture, neither will do you any good if you don't have the right kind of chair. I know, it can seem overwhelming to try and take all of these things in at once, but it really is that important to understand how they overlap. So let's get to it. And just a note, when I say cello posture or cello position, I am talking about the very same thing, the relationship between how the cello sits against us and how we should be sitting to keep it there. Let's start with the chair because it can play tricks on you with the cello size and easily make you think that you have the correct size cello when you actually don't. At bare minimum, the chair should be flat and should put your hips even with your knees or slightly above your knees, even better. Any kind of chair that slants backwards or sits too high or too low or sinks down is really not acceptable. This is not a negotiable. You have to have the proper place to sit when practicing and performing on the cello. There is one rare exception to this that I will talk about when we start getting down to details and variations with cello sizing. Even that, though, errs on the side of taller. There is no situation, no exception, anytime, any place, anywhere where you would sit down low with hips below knees. Don't do this. Also, don't exclude any possible options in your house just because they aren't music chairs. You may already have something that works really well. Sometimes solid wooden dining chairs are a good option because they can be tall and flat. Our own dining chairs would work if we didn't have anything else, but make sure yours don't sink in too much. A piano bench is often a great option because it's a little bit tall and it is flat. I have seen my smallest students use an ottoman that was nice and sturdy. For them, it doesn't have to be a chair. If it's comfortable, flat, and the correct height, go for it. If you have a decent chair that is almost good enough, like almost tall enough, or almost flat enough, I suggest adding a cushion like this seat cushion wedge. These are very popular with cellists because they prop us up and get us forward ever so slightly, which is great for cello playing. Cushions are not expensive, and certainly they are much more affordable than a new piece of furniture. I have a quick review of seat cushions on this channel, so be sure and check that video out and see the links in the description. Now to the positioning of the cello. The first thing you need to know is the 3 points of contact: left knee, right knee, and chest. These are the 3 points holding the cello in place while we play, and it is really important to know exactly how they are contacting the cello. The knees go here by the lower bouts, just under the corners. These points tuck into the right knee and rest on the left knee. The two knees do not touch the cello the same way because I am not square symmetrical behind the cello, nor should I be. That is an impossible position to be in. I will always be off to the right side slightly, and some will be more than others. Knees should never be inside the C-bouts. Ever, ever, ever. If the knees are inside the C-bouts, this is bad. This means that the cello is way too low or too big. The knees should also not be down here, too low on the lower bouts. Knees below the lower bouts could mean that the cello is too small, positioned too straight up and down, or just in the wrong position. Now, where should the cello be contacting your chest? The cello should not be too high or too low. If the edge of the upper bout is touching my collarbone, that is definitely too high. If it is touching the top of my belly, even just below my rib cage, that is too low. Ideally, you want it somewhere in the middle that is comfortable, and this is really important. Don't do anything that is painful or uncomfortable, and certainly don't try to hold a cello position that is painful or uncomfortable. If you are struggling to find the right position after watching this video and still experiencing discomfort, check out the extra resources in the description. On me, the perfect spot is my sternum, or this point where my rib cages meet. I use that as a reference point for the back edge of the upper bout to help me easily find the right position every time. Ladies, Tina Guo, who is awesome, has an awesome video addressing the question that you may be asking. 'Cause she's awesome. It's linked in the description and queued up. Leave a comment later, let me know if it helped. Now that you understand the 3 points of contact and have the correct chair, let's talk about the angle of the cello and the end pin length. Again, 2 overlapping aspects of cello posture that we need to talk about at the same time. And let me interject something here. Giving your cello the hug test is a way of finding that sweet spot between angle and end pin length. You are testing to see if the cello is resting against you in a way that allows you to move freely and be in control of it. To perform the hug test, cross your arms around your cello like you are hugging it. If you have to maneuver around too much or overextend or raise your shoulders too much, then the cello is too far out in front of you or isn't sitting against you properly. You then rock back and forth and eventually uncross your arms while moving. If the cello feels secure, then you are in the correct position with the correct posture. If you feel the cello is about to slip down or worse, fall to the ground, be sure and review each of the points in this video to ensure that you are remembering everything to check for. Also, check with your bow. If the bow is hitting your knee or leg when you are playing on the C string or the A string, the cello is too close in. So how does this happen? The end pin length affects how close in or how far away the cello will be to me by affecting the angle of the cello while I am playing it. If I let the end pin out all the way, making it really long, then the cello will sit something like this and be very high or way out front. If I put the end pin too short, my knees end up in the bouts, which I mentioned earlier, and the cello is too straight up and down, meaning that gravity will not be working for me and making a big sound will be very difficult. The best end pin length is the one that puts the cello at the optimal angle to you. Hits you at the 3 points of contact, and comfortably allows for ease of movement. Good posture, powerful sound, and no accidental bowing into your knees and legs. So let's put it all together. How can you use this information to know if you have the right size cello and or if you are sitting in the right cello position? Review the video carefully. Make sure you understand the proper angle of the cello, as well as the chair height. Then you will use all of the points of contact as your reference to decide. For example, if the cello is hitting you in your chest at the exact right point, but your knees are still in the bouts, you probably have a cello that is too big. And sticking with that, if you have your knees in the exact right spot on the cello, but the top of the cello is coming near your collarbone, again, you probably have a cello that is way too big. Now, if you're somewhere in the middle, like maybe your knees are a little bit low, or maybe it's coming a little bit close to your collarbone, this is the one rare exception where you can use a tall chair to help you. A really tall chair where your hips are quite a bit above your knees. You don't want them too far. You don't want something that looks like a 45-degree angle, but you can overcome an instrument that is slightly too big by sitting in a slightly taller chair. That is the one rare exception that I spoke of. Conversely to that, if your knees are starting to touch the lower bouts, meaning that the corners are both above your thigh and not tucked in or hugging your knees, and the top of the cello is starting to touch your belly and you're having a hard time getting it up to that point of contact on your chest, then you probably have a cello that is too small. When you're able to easily and consistently find the proper playing position with all the correct points of contact and are able to move freely and easily while playing, then you know you have the correct size cello. All right, you made it. It's a lot of details, so go back, watch this video as much as you need, and use the table of contents in the description to jump to whichever section you need. Thanks for watching. If this has been helpful, please hit the like button, think about subscribing, and do this. Go try this stuff out, and then come back and leave me a comment after you have tried it out. What helped? Did it help? And let me know, wherever you are on your cello journey, what is or what was your biggest struggle with learning to sit at the cello. Let me know. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.